Hey guys, GNT here, and today we're talking about Dumbbell episode 4. And first off, I want to say there were a lot of close-ups on boobs in this episode, on bobs. Also, there were a couple of moments where characters were just, barely covering the chest in a couple of scenes, and it was just, I don't know, it felt out of place. It felt like they were just doing that straight up for fan service, usually with the exercise and stuff, and they zoom in on parts. It's not that big of a thing because they're still doing the exercises, but they're just out of nowhere. Freaking Ibiki was sitting there under some sheets with her arms over her boobs. Fully nude. I was like, oh, there we go. This is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. Then at the end, you had Akemi there, talking about the burpees, and then all of a sudden she took off her bikini, and it was like, wait a second. This is a weird route we're going. But again, this is what it's all about. Oh, goodness. Anywho, with this episode, when it started off, I thought, oh, goodness, we're finally hitting a slow episode that's not going to be all that interesting. Because they're talking about the primetime thing and how it was all crowded. And for some odd reason, I just assumed that was going to be the entire episode. And I know that these episodes are broken up into different segments. I don't know why I thought this would be the whole episode. But when they start off, they're talking about how, it's summertime and the gyms get crowded at a certain time, and we call that time prime time. Goodness, I'm sorry. Every time I think of prime time, I think of that Sonic Mania music. That's what I'm going to play in the background of this video. Okay, enough of that. Anywho, with this episode, we finally get Ayaka in the gym. It took long enough, but she's finally here. Now we're just missing one more character. Please, add us a new character. Yeah, so Ayaka joins in, and while she's there, she's talking about how hot Machio is. And Hibiki's basically telling her, don't get your hopes up. Soon enough, he'll explode. And unless you're really into muscles, you're gonna not really care about him anymore. Oh, goodness. And here's the thing. Once you have Ayaka there with everybody else, well, that was at the end of the episode. We'll get to that. But they come in there in prime time. It's full. And the only thing left are the mind blanking. The machines that simulate bench pressing, basically, is what it was. Anywho, I can't think of the name of it. I'm sorry. It'll come to me as soon as I end the video. Every time I can't think of something, as soon as I hit stop, boom, there it is, right in my brain. But anywho, they ended up using those machines and whatnot, working on chest today, which is why I was saying there were a lot of close-ups on boobs, because it was chest episode, or at least the first part was. And then we get to the middle segment, where they go to Akemi's house, and you see this is a freaking ginormous mansion. Like, they were saying it's like something out of a manga, but usually even in the manga, the mansions aren't this big. Goodness. This is that, actually, you know what? It made me think about Dragon Ball. I don't know how I can relate everything to Dragon Ball, but I surely freaking can. It reminds me of when Videl was talking about how big her house was. This is literally it. That is what this is. So yeah, in the middle segment, everything's closed. So they're like, oh, well, I guess this happens sometimes. And Akemi's like, come to my house. We can exercise there. Here's what I was thinking when they got there. They go inside and it would be a fully working gym with a bunch of people in there too. It would have been hilarious. But that's not what happened. They ended up pulling out a tape. Not a tape. Oh, goodness. I'm showing my age. They pulled out a disc. I don't know if it was Blu-ray or DVD, but they put it on, and there was a freaking big old buff dude there, instructing them about exercising. And he's talking about the exercise you can do at home. Freaking Toshio, I think was his name. Yeah, but he was talking about exercising while looking extremely creepy. And he was showing basically the dip. That's the one they chose because it was different from the others, which was basically sit-ups, squats, and push-ups, which everybody knows is stuff you do at home. But they ended up doing the dip. And while he was sitting there between the two chairs, he had his muscle guys in the background. And I was like, is that Machio? And one of them was like, one of them looks really familiar. That was so funny. Like, Machio was just in there mixed in with the other buff guys. And you could tell it was him because he's the only one with hair. Like, all the other ones are bald. But he's sitting there all extra buff with that hair on. It was so good. Like, oh goodness. Toshio was freaking creepy. He was doing the one exercise and then they decided they're going to do it too. And Ayaka just does it perfectly and easily. And then they're like, we're going to add weights. And then Hibiki breaks the chairs. I saw it coming. Because, you know, the whole gag with Hibiki is that she's already heavier than the other girls. And then they added weights onto it. They're like, we're going to put weights in the backpack. Here you go. I was like, this is not going to go well. As soon as she went up, the chairs went down. That crap was hilarious. It was freaking amazing. It's just, whew, that was great. That was a great time to be had by all. Oh, man. So, yeah. After that, they show that Hibiki's watching and they're talking about antique chairs and how much they're worth. And it turns out those type of chairs that she had in her house. But who cares, you know? It's fine. They'll get over it. Anywho, at the last portion of this episode, we get the beach portion that we've been waiting for, right? Beach episode, woohoo, it's gonna be great. Turns out you can't go swimming because there are a bunch of hammerhead sharks in the ocean. This show is perfect, man. Don't let anybody tell you any different. This is a perfect show. Man, every time something else happens to ruin it for them. Like, their teacher, freaking Satomi, she was sitting there and she was like, I came here to hopefully get some romance. And then I ran into my students. Why is it they're the only other 3 people here? And you find out that the beach is, you know, basically off limits because of the sharks. So they just decide they're going to exercise on the beach. And here's the thing. Something that wasn't fully noticeable, I guess you would say, until they got in swimsuits on the beach. Ayaka just completely stands out from the other 3. And it's not only because she's extremely toned and hot. It's because her boobs are way smaller than the other 3. It was kind of, you know, extremely noticeable once they were in swimsuits. Because when they're in regular clothes, you know, you don't pay much attention to it. But once they were in swimsuits, it was like, oh my goodness, Ayaka. You're here with 3 titty monsters and you're standing out. Because you're the only one with that perfect slim physique with the tones, you know, the abs and everything was just amazing. Clearly, she has the best body out of this group. But enough of that. Enough about that. They decide to do freaking burpees, and the whole thing about that is they were on the beach and whatnot, and they were saying how, you know, the terrain from the beach would work out better than just regular plain stuff, or at least that's what Ayaka said after they were done. Hibiki and Satomi looked like they were basically about to die. After they did those, they looked like they were dying. I was like, oh no, you've killed 2 of my waifus. Every female in this show is a waifu, by the way, just letting you know ahead of time in case you didn't understand that. All of them. But so far, Ayaka and freaking Satomi are at the top for this. for specific reasons that I shall not get into. But yeah, after they did the burpees, as they were doing them, you could see how Kimmy and Ayaka were both doing theirs pretty decently and fast, and then Hibiki and Satomi were just super slow with it, with those freaking the freaking, what do you call them, the eyes where you can see that they're straining. They look like little crosses and whatnot, half crosses, I guess, but you can see that they were having a rough time, and afterwards they were laid out on the blanket, breathing all extra heavy, covered in sweat. It's just what you'd always want to see, you know? It's what you'd expect from a beach episode, clearly. And then they were like, who wants to do sprints? Everybody was like, me. Then as they were running, you can see that, again, Hibiki and Satomi are in the back, slowly running behind the others. Oh, it was great. This was just a wonderful episode. And once they were done with that, they were like, oh, well, summer's over, so we'll get back to our plain stuff. And the only thing to take away from this is that Satomi ended up with a tan. For some reason, Akemi got no tan whatsoever, which was weird. But who cares, right? It's part of her character to be so freaking pale, right? And that's what it is. She stands out from the other girls because she isn't tan. So, it's whatever. Anywho, that's going to do it for this episode. We got very little Machio, which disappointed me. Because he's my favorite character. But it's cool. Next episode should be great. And, yeah, that's going to do it for this. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. I will see you next time. Peace out. And have a great day.